So, the 10th of December 2013 was the memorial service for former President Nelson Mandela. I can still remember the day very well. I was privileged enough to have covered the event, along with international and top national journalists. It was really a day. Every journalist wanted to be there, every photographer wanted to catch the moment, and every videographer didn't want to miss a second. But what stood out mostly for me for that day is how the rain poured out, literally the whole day. Remember getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, or leaving my house at 4 o'clock in the morning to get to the stadium on time. The rain persisted for a good 12 hours that day. It was as though the heavens were shedding a tear for Madiba. One can be overwhelmed by the whole event, but I don't remember being overwhelmed. To me, it was more covering the story, doing it the same way that I always do with any other story, until I went back home. That is when I realized how big a moment this was. I just realized I've covered the official memorial service of President Nelson Mandela. I've just covered the speech by American President Barack Obama, and of course, being at literally arm length from President Jacob Zuma, former President Thabo Mbeki. That for me suddenly struck when I got back home. But for me, when I think about it, I mean, today we remember Mandela. I think every South African has to learn from what Mandela stood for, or what Mandela was all about. And one of the things that stood out for me when covering these stories, when following up and doing sort of tributes to Madiba, one of the things was forgiveness. I remember going through part of the history where Mandela, in 1992, during the Codesa talks, that was the first time anybody has ever seen Mandela upset in public. And it wasn't because somebody had offended him. It was because somebody was trying to sabotage, or as he believed, sabotage the peace talks to make South Africa better. And that, to me, spoke volumes about the man he was. I mean, here he was reaching out to a white man that oppressed him and saying, let us work together to make South Africa a better place. And I think if we just go back to 1994, if we remember how we felt as South Africans back in 1994, I think we can really move forward as South Africans. Not only us as journalists that get to cover these events, but also as every South African, we can learn a lot from these things. Thank you very much.